Yeah, hello. So today we will see something related to Spring, Spring Boot, and REST API. So uh, whenever we are creating our Spring Boot application, that time we just came to know that Spring knowledge is important. So what is basically Spring is? Spring is a framework. Yeah. So that framework was developed in 2003. So it's open source means no need to pay any money, as well as it is lightweight means inter one service is not dependent on other service, right? And easy to build the application. So first we will see some features of the Spring. So that we need to go to spring.io website, right? Here we will see some overview. Yeah, in that where it is. Okay, here Spring Framework is there, right? So we just go to learn, go to reference document, and here we can see Spring official document. Here we have design philosophy feedback, something core related concept is there, that is Spring container, event, resource, validation, right? And we have some testing framework is there, some REST client is there, as well as scheduling task is there, catching is there, right? WebSocket is there. So these are the Spring features. As well as Spring provide many features, but some disadvantages are there. So to overcome that disadvantage, we try to move towards Spring Boot, right? So it minimals that disadvantages which Spring has. So uh, Spring Boot is a framework which is on top of the Spring framework. So what Spring framework is based upon? We used basically we used Spring framework with the Java as a language. So in Spring framework, we follows layered architecture. What is meant by architecture? So we have some presentation layer, business layer, as well as persistence layer is there. So in presentation layer, we can say that, mm, okay, I will practically show you one e-commerce application. Like we have www dot uh, swiggy.com, right? Okay, Swiggy. Okay, Swiggy is not there. We'll go to www dot. Okay, Amazon.com. We'll go to official website of Amazon, and here we can see the UI of Amazon website. So what does it mean? Whenever the user want to search something, like he will search here, like I want one mobile. So he will type mobile, click on search. So it will request to mobile, means our request first will go to the presentation layer, then request will go to business layer, and business layer will talk to persistent layer, and then database, means it's layered architecture. If we are creating layered architecture, then our application become robust and cohesive, right? So we are following the same while creating application using Spring Boot. So it has many features like inversion of control is there, dependency injection is there, right? So what inversion of control means? Means we no need to create object. IOC will create object on its own. For that we need to use dependency injection feature, right? So here we will create one Spring Boot application, and we'll see practical of that. So what happens? Spring gives its website called start.spring.io, right? So this is the official website, and okay, we have another website called Spring Initializer. It's redirect to start.spring.io. So we will click on this. One UI will come. So in that UI, it helps us to create Spring Boot application. So in that uh, project is there, language is there, and some Spring Boot snapshot as well as released version is there, as well as dependency is there, and some project metadata is there. So here what will happen? We need to write or we need to click on one of the language, like language we are having Java, Kotlin, as well as Groovy. So we'll click on Java as a language, and here we will see one option called Groovy is there, Kotlin is there, and Maven is there. What is that? Basically, it's a build tool. Uh, it's recommended or it's preferable for Spring Boot or for a Java developer to use Maven or Gradle. But it's earlier what people use Maven as a build tool because it is help to create a jar to deploy that jar on any other cloud platform like AWS or Azure. So we'll create on Maven and we'll use one Spring Boot version. So we will took latest version as 3.3.2. So now here you can see that some project metadata is there. So its group is there, artifact is there, name, description, package name, and something related to that. Okay. So what is group name? So we already seen we have different e-commerce website is there. So that e-commerce website URL is like www.amazon.com, www.flipkart.com, or www. something uh, xyz.com, right? So its group means company of name of the client or name of the company. So we need to just reverse that and write com.xyz, com.flipkart, com.companies. Here we will create com.mycompany, right? And name is your product name or your project name. So my project, we will create my project as the name, and demo for Spring Boot application, and one package is already created. Artifact means name of the client company. Okay, so here we can write first first application. This is group name is the company who will who want to means who is the owner of the company. Sorry, who is the owner of that particular project means my company, and the company who is creating that application, that's artifact name, right? So my application com, right? And this is the package name com dot my company, right? And this is the packaging structure means if we want to create with a jar or war file, we can click on particular and we'll took version as a Java 17. Okay, so this is our project structure. Now whenever we are creating application with Spring or Spring Boot, that time what happened, some XML configuration is there, means some internal data we need to add to run our application. In Spring we have XML configuration based, but in Spring Boot we have dependencies there to run the application. So we have different dependencies to running the actual application. For that we will choose one web dependency is there. What web does? You can see here it build web application. Web application means client and server interactions. We can see our many examples of web application or commercial application. So it is client server interaction, right? Including RESTful. RESTful manner means its protocol or its design which gives us to create the application, that is RESTful, as well as it uses Apache Tomcat as a default embedded container. What does it mean? It means we are deploying our application on this container. Means whenever who is having who is having to write the to create the application, that application need to be deployed on particular server. For that, we have one container is there, Tomcat container, and it has 8080 as a default port. If it doesn't there, we can't deploy our application, and our application will not survive, right? So it has embedded port. So this is Spring Web dependency in which we can run or in which we can build our web application using RESTful manner, right? So we will add this dependency and we'll click on generate, right? So it will get downloaded, right? So what it will, we need to, okay, fine. So we need to import this application or this project in our ID. This is our Eclipse ID. What does ID means? It is integration development environment, which is basically used to run the applications because it reduces the complexity, it reduces the hecticness of the developer. So we will use this and we'll import our project. Our project is having Maven as a build tool. So we'll click on existing project, go to browser, and where our project is there in download as well, right? So this is not our project. Okay, here it is. Download first application. Explore. Okay. So here application will be download here and it will download it as a zip file. So we need to extract that zip file here, right? So our path is same as it is, right? So it will extract in this folder. Under that, our project structure will come. So now we will go to our IDE. Here we will import. We are choosing Maven as a build tool. So we will click on Maven, go to existing Maven project, go to browser and go to download. Here we have that project. So we will select and we will import. Right. We have POM file is there. In this POM file, we are adding some dependency. Click on finish. Right. So you can see here our project is importing Maven project. It needs better internet connection for downloading all the dependencies, all the jar, all the packages, as well as all the classes which are having, right? So it will take some time. Okay, now you can see our projects get downloaded as well as downloaded all the dependencies. Now this is our project structure, right? So what does it contain? It has package called src main java, src main resources, src test java. This src main java, your developer need to code. src test java, tester need to code. This is JRE system library. In this, we have all the jar files or all the packages we have downloaded, right? If we are clicking on this, we will get all the package, and in that package, we have some classes, right? So this is our Maven dependencies, what we have downloaded by our Spring, and this is form file. We already added one dependency, as you know, that dependency is Spring Web dependency, that is Spring Boot Starter Web dependency. It has group ID and artifact ID, right? So we will see one by one, and our Java version is 17. Here, what happened? Our package will get created, and we will get one class as the first application company application. We will click on this, and here we can see that our entry point of our application comes. So what does it mean? We are just going to develop one Spring Boot application with Java as a language, Java version 17, right? So we are seeing here something called @Spring Boot application. What does it mean? We'll see one by one. Basically, it consists of too many annotations. First of all, we will see what does annotation mean. Annotation, it's a metadata which reduces the boilerplate code which we earlier written as XML in our Spring application, right? So it reduces our boilerplate code, it reduces the task, it minimizes the task in Spring Boot. So @ Spring Boot application annotation made up of three annotation, which is that three annotation: configuration, enable configuration, and component scan, right? So instead of three annotation, we can write single annotation as Spring Boot application. So if we are writing this annotation, then our class or our Spring Boot application gets started. It has main method also, and in main method we have one class, Spring application class, and in that class we have a run method, which bootstraps our application, and our application gets started, right? So we will try to start the application. Click, right click on the project, go to run as, go to Maven build. We have goals in there. So you already know that we have tool called Maven, and that is a build tool. It is helpful to create jar. And that jar is helpful for deploying purpose. Whatever the cloud platform we have AWS, we have Azure, or we have GCP, so that those people don't get stuck while versioning, while dependency management. For that, it's need for the developer to create a better jar, so that all the earlier jar or all the earlier packages we need to clean. For that, we have some maven command is there, and what that command says, that says it's clean up all the earlier activities. So that we will write here clean package, package. Click on apply, click on run. Now you can see that our application gets started. Build success, right? Or build get success means here we will get one jar file. You can see that in this location our jar gets created. Okay, this is the original jar. We have one snapshot jar is there. Snapshot means it's just running. This is our snapshot jar, right? So our jar will get created. We can deploy this jar on any other cloud platform. Now, how to run this project? Right click on project, go to run as, go to Maven build, right click spring hyphen boot colon run colon run. Click on apply, click on run. Here your project will get scanned, building process is there, and your application, Spring Boot application with version 3.3.2 started with Tomcat embedded container with port number 8080. So now we'll see some concept related to design approach. What design says, in which way we need to create or we need to develop the application. So we have two approaches is there. That is, one is REST and one is SOAP. REST is representational state transfer. It's design principle or its approach or its protocol to develop the API so that we can call it as RESTful API or RESTful web services. Right? We have other approach called SOAP, simple object access protocol. Right? But mostly developer uses the RESTful as a web service, RESTful API. It's trending in market and it has some feature. That's why they uses this approach. It's client server based model, right? It's client server based model. It uses HTTP protocol. What does it mean? Hypertext transfer protocol. It is a protocol which uses resources. In REST, what happened? Resources is the important for query execution or for other function. If you don't know resources, you can't do anything. So basically, it's medium of communication of client and server. Whatever the request client will send, as we already seen, if we go to Flipkart website, we just click on any other things, whatever we want, like we want watch. Our endpoint should be www.flipkart.com/watch/red/ something like that. So these are the endpoint or these are the resources. So resources is very important while developing RESTful web services. And it follows one concept called statelessness. Means client request will not save on server. Means client and response are not dependent on each other, right? So these are the RESTful web services. It has some HTTP status code is there. So one double X is there, two double X is there, three double X, four double X, five double X. These are very important because it indicates some responses. One double X indicates like informational response, two double X indicates successful response, three double X indicates redirect, four double X client error, client side error, five double X server side error. Right. So if we are creating resources on server, a response should be created. If client send a request, right, but that request is invalid or that request is bad, so that is 400 response. And if server is not responding to the client, then that status code is 500. So these are some code and some method is there, some get method, put method, post method is there. So here we will try to create our first API, right? We'll click on package, click on new, go to package. Here we will, some standard is there to create the packages. We'll see on this next video. So controller Okay, controller, right? Yeah. Here we'll create one controller class called my controller. Okay. Here we will stop our here we will create a class called my controller. We are just exposing our endpoint, or we'll write one API, right? So to make this class as a controller, we need to just write one annotation called REST controller, and in that we are writing one method which will return one string. Okay, public string. What we can write, get uh, get things. Okay, we will return. I will get all new things. So here what happened? We will create one method called get strings. It will return a string and which is accessible publicly. Here you can write one string message. Right. To expose this method, what we need to do, we need to write one annotation called get mapping. In that get mapping, we have to write our endpoint get, and here also we can write at the rate. We will see all the annotation one by one. You don't worry about that. Request mapping. Here we can write v1. Okay. Okay. So here what we write? We are writing the base endpoint called v1 and dedicated endpoint called get. So here what happened? We are creating one controller class. We are just writing at the rate rest controller annotation, at the rate request mapping, and at the rate get mapping. So at the rate request mapping, this annotation is class level annotation as well as method level annotation. So how to expose the endpoint? Here, what uh, what are the URL exposed by the famous e-commerce platform? They expose like www dot irctc. Sorry, irctc is not a commercial website. Commercial website, we'll take example of Flipkart. If flipkart.com/mobile. Why Flipkart is there? Because it is on server. It has its unique domain name. But we are creating our application on our machine, on its own machine. So that's why we have host locally. So here secured website is there. That's why HTTPS colon double slash. Here we have HTTP colon. We don't have secured. That's why we no need to write S. HTTP colon double slash. Locally we have created. So local host, right? HTTP colon double slash local host colon. We have Tomcat port is there. You can see 8080. So instead of domain name, we need to write our port 8080. HTTP colon double slash localhost colon 8080 slash. This is our endpoint slash v1. This is our dedicated endpoint slash get. In this way, other person can access our website. Other means client or user from their dedicated browser. Okay, so just try to access this using browser. First of all, we will clean up all the packages, all the dependencies. Clean package, run, save. Okay, cleanup activities starting, and our build will success. Now we'll run our application. Maven build clean spring boot colon run. Click on run. Now you can see jar already get created. Now our application is running on Tomcat 8080. Now we can access this endpoint. Go to browser, enter. Here, there we go. Here you can see your endpoint, what we created here, what we want to expose. So we can, in this way we can create REST API by using Spring Boot application.